Bam, we're live. Where are you?
Outside.
You're outside.
Yeah.
Like if you look up, you stare into the heavens.
No. There's a roof.
uh, uh, Out to your left, is that just out to the open air? That's just.
Yeah.
Uh, wow. It's already nighttime there.
Yeah, it's a little dark.
How come you're outside?
Um, I don't know.
Is that room?
They,
Is your normal room taken?
yeah, like the whole. Yeah, there's something going on. I'm not sure exactly.
You're not
But they
sure.
said
You
that.
can't, or you can't tell us.
Both. It's
Fair.
nothing crazy. It's just like they just needed that facility for something.
Or like someone spotted mice and now they're like doing a fumigation or something like that.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Have you seen any animals where you're at?
Um,
Any scorpions or crazy bugs or anything? They got anything or nothing lives out there?
I've seen some snakes and some mice. We've killed a mouse that was uh, burrowing in our clinic, and then
How'd you kill
snakes
them?
just kind of
Mousetrap? Just your standard mousetrap?
mousetrap. Yeah,
High tech.
yeah, super cool. Otherwise, not really. A lot of birds. Like this is like probably the only place where they're actually going to get food and stuff. So birds. Oh, we've got some cats too.
Hey, will
Got
we
quite a
hear
few
any
cats.
bird? How come I don't hear any birds?
Because I'm not near any trees. There, and usually the like right at about 7 o'clock. No, yeah, probably right before sunset. All the birds will like flock to the trees, and just like it'll just be a mass exodus to the trees, and they'll just be chirping like crazy, and then they'll land. They'll just chill for the night over by the
Are they like
trees.
what are they like starlings? Are they those blackbirds you see like in the Walmart parking lot and like half of them have like one mangled leg? How come all those birds
Uh,
have mangled legs? How come all those birds' feet are fucked up?
I have no idea, but they're like little sparrows, like the tiny little like brown,
Yep.
like speckled ones. They're
How
really
about that light?
small.
How about that light you just showed us? Will that thing have bats all around it in an hour?
No, no bats.
No
No,
bats?
yeah, no bats. Not that I've seen. There could be some, but I've never
Any
seen them.
insect issues?
Mostly just flies. We have a crazy fly issue. It's gotten better since it's gotten colder, but they're incessant. They'll like fly around your face and they'll land on you and they like don't care.
Regular flies like our regular American house flies or like those smaller ones?
Yeah, like a regular American housefly. It's crazy though because they don't bite. Like I've had like flies back home, they're just like they'll land on you and they'll bite. They'll just like nip at your skin. But these
Oh,
ones
I
don't.
we don't have any biting flies really in California.
Oh really?
Look at me and you both on the trigger at the same time, trying to put Scott up top. Two people try to put him on top, and he ends on the bottom. What's up, dude?
Hey, how are you guys?
Amazing. I'm amazing. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Caleb. I can't tell. When I see that backdrop, I just think, uh-oh.
It's a little terrifying.
What's that hanging on your wall, Scott?
Right here? Right here?
Yeah, like that mandala thing.
I don't know. It's a decoration down in the mummy pod. This is my basement where my mother-in-law comes and watches Kinsley from time to time.
And she hung that. She decorated it herself.
No, my wife Kristen did, but not the mummy pod. It's the Grammy pod. I apologize.
Grammy pod.
Grammy pod.
Is that thing handmade? Is that like that's probably like some that's probably some heirloom from that side of the family, Scott. You got to find out what that is. That looks like that's probably made by someone's grandma.
Or it could be from Amazon.
Or we drove by the thrift store and my wife saw it and just grabbed it.
You know, and it just looked nice. Looked like it matched the walls and get the job done.
No, he's not in a bunk. He's outside. He's underneath some awning of what looks like some makeshift military base, like boxes.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking
yeah, he's definitely somewhere like that. he's definitely somewhere like that. Usually he's inside. He's usually inside of like some room at the hospital, you know, where they treat people. Like you can see like the stethoscopes and the pictures on the walls of like an anus, so that the doctor can be like, hey, you have a polyp there, and you know, like, you know what I mean, like the diagrams. And he's gone.
He's gone. We're you and me, buddy.
Do you have 2 kids?
I got one on the way. Like any day now.
Like any day.
Any day. Like the 30th, we're going in for a scheduled C-section. But if it comes before that, she is going to try to have a natural birth.
Like, so she could literally come downstairs now and be like, okay, Scott, I'm having contractions. Has she those Braxton Hicks ones, have those started?
Oh yeah. Those are intense. I'll tell you what.
So you've heard.
Don't get enough credit. Do not get enough credit, because that is not something I would ever want to do.
Don't you just want to know what one feels like? I'm just like whole time
I've said
just
that.
one.
Like, what does it feel like? Like when you like see it like moving around in there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's just like such a crazy feeling and concept to wrap my head around.
Is your wife enjoying the process? You think you'll have a third? Is she kind of like addicted to the process?
I wouldn't say she's addicted to the process. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but we got a boy coming and we have a girl, so kind of checked both boxes, repopulated the world, you know, doing our part.
It seems like just like the box that I keep you in, all the prejudice and discrimination that I project onto you, from where you live. And what state are you in?
Ohio.
Yeah, you seem like that's like a four kid state.
Yeah.
4 kids.
I mean, I came from a family of 6 kids, so I think you were probably under the assumption that I was going to try to match or beat that.
yeah, exactly. You know what? Just 6. It's just a good number.
It's just, you know, it's even round.
How old are you, Scott?
Today's my 35th birthday, actually.
Holy cow! Happy birthday!
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Holy shit! Thanks for doing this. Is it cold downstairs where you're at?
A little bit.
Yeah. You need a dehumidifier down there? Will mold start growing on the walls?
No, we have one of those.
You do have one? Oh, awesome.
Everybody's got one of those in their basement. You don't know what kind of weather you're gonna get. We had a couple weeks ago, it was like in the mid 60s, almost 70, and then dropped to below 35 within like 3 days.
Snow on the ground?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, my wife is from Buffalo, and I don't know if you saw any pictures of the stadium, but they had to move the game to Detroit. And
oh, I saw a headline. Yeah.
Yeah, the Browns and the Bills played there, and it was their stadium in Buffalo was just, I'd never seen anything like that.
Was it some sort of record too, where the headline's like, "Hey, more? Oh, look it, we got a backup dude." And the
backup dude's here. I saw Caleb disappear from in front of the bunker. Figured I'd come help out. What's up, Scott? How you doing, bro?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Scott,
great, man. Happy birthday.
Matt Souza. Have you guys met before? Oh yeah, on the show.
Yeah, we met at Wadapalooza too, briefly.
Oh, cool. Hey, were those record numbers in Buffalo? What happened there? Can you pull that up, Souza, if you have a chance? Sorry, I know you just came on, but look at the stadium in Buffalo. What happened there? Was it that they just weren't prepared for it?
Oh, it is just a crazy amount of snow. Like, I don't know what the total amount was, but it had to have been, I think, 3-4 feet.
And it's not
Maybe
a dome,
more than that.
So the inside of the stadium? Okay.
No. Well, they moved it to Detroit, and that is a dome, yeah.
Hey, when you played in college, did you ever play in the snow?
Yeah. All our playoff games were at Mount Union. Every year I was there because we went undefeated up until the Stag Bowl.
Holy shit, look at that one down on the bottom, Souza.
Which one?
Go down lower. To the right one. To the right
I
one.
was watching the game, and they were talking about how the fans were actually going to the players' houses and helping them get out of their house.
Oh, like dig them out.
They were like digging the players out of their house. Yeah, they didn't really practice much, and they still beat the Browns.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Did you ever have a game called? You played at Mount Union, and you were running back there,
Yep.
and a Division III school,
You got it.
and you were starter.
My senior year, I started, yeah, and I played a little bit of slot receiver my junior year, and then
And
I was like, I went 5 years. I was on that 5-year plan, and came back out for my 5th year, but unfortunately, I had some knee issues that prevented me from playing that year.
isn't it sort of trippy, these 3 particular events that happened at peaks of your 3 or 4 particular events that happened at peaks of your career?
Yeah, definitely gave me some flashbacks for sure.
Yeah.
But it also is like a transition. Like, I don't know. I think God kind of shifts your mindset and your life into different directions at different times. And it's crazy. I've told people this on a number of occasions, but if I would have gotten to play my 5th year as a starter and went and won a national championship, I don't know if I would have like been as interested in like really digging into CrossFit the way I did early on. But it, left something inside of me that was just like, man, I want to compete again. I want to find a way to like run onto a competition floor. And I couldn't believe that 10 years went by without having any issues with my body. And I think that really speaks volume to like what CrossFit does for you, because I had 3 knee reconstructive surgeries playing college football. So to go 10 years in the sport before having any issues with those, I was pretty happy.
I think a lot of people, I want to say most even, my guess is that most people would have used those injuries that you had playing college football as an excuse to not do CrossFit. I can't do CrossFit because I have a bad knee. I can't do CrossFit because I have a bad back. I can't do CrossFit. Yeah.
I laugh because I'm like, no, this would be really good for you, because if we can get your quads and your hamstrings nice and strong, it takes a lot of tension off those knees.
And you had all the things jacked up, right? Like the MCL, the patella, the ACL, like anything with 3 letters, you had kind of all jacked up.
Yeah, I had ACL twice and PCL once in college.
Oh, look, Caleb's back.
He's alive.
He moved a little. Okay, let's see what he's doing.
Undisclosed location number 2.
Now you're inside. You're under a bed. No audio. All right, that's cool.
Maybe he's like sitting top bunk right now and he can't talk. Oh no, he's frozen.
That's a great guess that there's someone sleeping in the room.
Yeah,
I like that guess. He's not shaking his head or nodding his head.
He might be frozen.
He just wants to listen. He's here to listen.
He's here to watch.
Do you remember that guy on Sesame Street who used to he would paint, he never talked, and he wore a trench coat and he would paint numbers on shit? Like he'd be in an elevator and he'd paint a number on it, and then someone would lean up against. Do you remember that guy? Sometimes Caleb reminds me of him because he's so stoic. Oh, and now his internet's gone again. I can see a box down here in the waiting room where Caleb hangs out, and he's flickering in and out. There was a fascinating story I heard on a podcast you did that I bet you a lot of people haven't heard, where you, speaking of God, where you did no, not that guy, but I like, hey, no guy.
Did you do a voiceover?
Not that guy. This was like a real person.
Okay.
And listen, Sesame Street. I know you guys have completely lost your way. I mean, I know. I don't know why I'm even bothering giving you advice. You've turned into something that's good for kids to a brainwash epicenter of disgust. But no more characters with trench coats. It's not. As a fashion expert, the people in trench coats shouldn't be hanging with kids. It's just
fashionista.
Yeah, as a fashionista. You after this, I don't remember what injury it was. Maybe you can fill in some of the missing spots. But after one of your injuries, you were feeling distant. You were feeling a little empty inside, and you went out and you got a Bible. And you were thinking about opening the Bible, and you're like, shit's too complicated. I'm not going to understand. Could you tell us that story? And
Yeah,
and
so
what that, are you still doing the Bible study to this day?
We actually,
awesome.
we did it we had our last one Thursday, and we're taking a little break between now and New Year because we have the baby coming, and then we'll pick back up.
Okay.
But it actually was not an injury. It was our first pregnancy. We ended up losing our first child.
How many weeks? How many weeks in?
11.
11 weeks in.
Yeah.
We just for whatever it's worth, we lost our first one at 13 weeks. We never saw the baby because she had never gone to the doctor. So like for all we know, it was it may have been, you know, sometimes women's bodies will say that they're pregnant when they're not, like there won't be a fertilized egg or something. But I remember she lost the first one and the third one. And then we had the twins. This is probably going to be a long story with all my questions. After you lost the first one, how traumatic was that for her? Did she lose a lot of blood physically? How traumatic was it for her?
Can you give me 1 second? Let me plug my iPad in. It's dying.
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Yeah. Thanks for coming prepared. I appreciate it. He's like, shit, I thought this was going to be a 10-minute interview.
I did.
Hey, to be honest with you, Scott, it was going to be, I was like, okay, I told the boys, I'm like, we only need Scott for like 30 minutes. We'll fucking pry into whether he's going to compete at the games and then we'll cut him loose. But then I started researching you last night for like 2 hours on the assault bike. I'm like, fuck that. We got shit to talk about.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it'll be 10 minutes. And I was like, I got 24%. And we burned through that real quick. So,
and if you have to go, just cut me loose. If you have to go.
I just texted my wife and I was like, hey, can you bring me an extension?
She waddles down the stairs. Hey, here you go, asshole.
She did. But yeah, so that was where me wanting to dig into the Bible a little bit more had come from. I really wanted to just get a better understanding of life. And I had a few really great people in my life that had been directing me to read the Bible. And
who?
I had a guy from my gym. He actually, it's a pretty awesome story. I'll give you the cliff notes and try to keep it short. But I had joined a Bible study group, and it was like right around COVID, and we're on there. And Nathan Bramblett, who was an old games athlete, was talking to me, and we were just, I got on and I'm just sitting there and listening. And I grew up Catholic, and I had Bibles in the house, and I went to church on Sundays, but it was always kind of just to like check a box, and like it was just what you did. And I felt like I was, a good person, and, better than that guy and that guy and that guy, but maybe not as good as that guy. And, I felt like I was doing things.
You didn't have as many notes in your Bible. You had one, but that guy had more notes.
I had a Bible.
So he was better than you.
I did. I had a Bible, and it was sitting on a shelf, and it was brand new, never really cracked open. And I grew up, like I said, I had a lot of knowledge and understanding of like who God was. I said, my prayers, and like I said, I went to church, but I never really got into the Bible, and a lot of it was because of how intimidating it was. And
the print's too small, dude. The print's too small. The print says, "Don't read me." The print says, "Don't read me."
It also I also knew there was some like things in there that would make me be a little more responsible in this life. I think there was a little intimidation there in those ways. And
I'm doing this, and the Bible's going to tell me not to.
I wanted my God to be like me, and that's not what it's about. But I was intimidated to open it for whatever reason. And it took a long time. I went to college, and, I went in and dropped into a couple of Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And I always felt like God kind of like was protecting me and like looking after me and, keeping me out of trouble. But I felt like it took this tragic event in my life to redirect me into deepening that relationship, to really understand who God is and how he provides for me every day. So during COVID, we're on a Bible study, virtual Zoom call, and I'm sitting there listening, and Nathan is talking, and he asked me, he's like, "Do you have a Bible?" I was like, "Yeah, it's somewhere here in my house," or honestly, I don't even know. I think my parents might still have the Bible I got when I was in it's called CCD. It was like our catechism class. And he sent me one. So he sent it to me. I open it up, small print, super overwhelming. And I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for this. And at the same time,
Chapter 7,000. Oh,
but at the same time, I was creating this 400-meter loop on our property because the gym was shut down. And I was like, I want to be able to run from my home gym. And I just felt like it was like really, really peaceful. And it's probably one of the first projects and things that I'd done where I just felt like I didn't have music. It was just quiet time. So while this is all happening, I felt like I was just asking a lot of questions. And this is all, right after we lost our first child. And, the day after I got this Bible from Nathan Bramblett, and I'm walking, creating this loop in our woods saying like, I wouldn't understand it. I don't know where to start. A guy from my gym, I kid you not, comes in and he says, I have something for you. And this is a guy that I haven't really talked to a whole lot. And it was really strange.
He wasn't in your Bible study class?
He was not in my Bible study.
Nathan?
He's just a member in my gym. And he goes, I have something for you. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, what is it? And he like goes out to his car. He comes back in and he hands me a study Bible. And I'm like, oh, wow, like 2 Bibles in 2 days. I'm not going a third day because like I might not make it to 3 days. I'm going to open this thing. And he goes, I want you to have this. Something on my heart told me I needed to give this to you. And I opened it and it was really big, like big text. And it had study notes at the bottom. And I was just like, oh, wow. And he's like explaining it to me. He told me where to start. And then he's like, and I want to pray for you. I'm like, okay, thanks. And I thought he was going to leave and like pray for me later at home. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to pray for you. He like put his hand on me and prayed right in that moment. And like this, like, I just got so emotional and my body started shaking. And it was just like, I truly, truly believe that like the Holy Spirit, like he put it like on my heart. And like from that moment on, I was like, I have a responsibility to dig into this. And, it wasn't much longer where we got pregnant again with my daughter, Kinsley. And that just pushed me even more towards it because I was like, wow, like things are coming together. I want to be able to teach her all the things that are in here. I know she's going to have questions and I don't want to rely on someone else to teach me those things. And I think a lot of the times we rely on other people to teach us what we should be trying to learn on our own. And the Bible's going to speak to you differently than it's going to speak to me. And it's going to meet us where we're at. And I truly believe something happened that day that really just changed my heart. And it just so happened, kind of leading into that last season of my career. My knee ends up not making it through the year. I'm probably the fittest that I've ever been in my entire life.
What year, Scott? This is 2021?
No, this would have been 2020. So the year
2020,
that I
okay.
went to the games and
when you were running and the crowd started running with you.
Yeah. So that all
the Capitol
happens,
event. Scott did that shit first.
But a lot of stuff happened that year too. And I'm just like, man, like what's God trying to tell me? And I think a lot of the times we look into our life and we're like, man, why is God doing this? Like, why? Like, this is what I wanted and this is what I got. And sometimes I believe that he's doing it for us. And it could be for us to redirect in our life. It could be for us to dig more into the relationship we have with him so that there is more substance there and there is something to grow and learn and develop. And it's pushed me in a direction to be a better person. It's got me reading more. And it also has me like being more patient and kind and loving. And, I at times, like whatever you're putting into you is going to spill out at some point when life gets hard. And if you're not putting good things into your heart, when things get hard, it doesn't get any better and life's going to be hard. And that's what I've been leaning into over the last few years. And I felt more joyful than ever before in my life. And it's been through some pretty difficult times, which, you know, is pretty incredible.
When I think of us as human beings, one of the ways I think of us, one of the pictures that I see in my head is I see us as like radios. You know, the old radios where you tune in the radio station?
Yeah.
And then you turn to the frequency and you turn that knob and you get it just so it's crystal clear. And I think of us as like that as human beings, that the way we treat our body and what we put into our mind adjusts and who we hang out with, adjusts our frequency to be more receptive to wherever these signals are coming. I picture us as just all human beings as kind of like antennas walking around on planet Earth, getting our directive from whatever frequency we're tuned into. And when I hear your story, I think of it like that, like you read the Bible and it was adjusting your frequency to that message, to what did you call it? The Spirit, the Holy Ghost. What did you call it?
Holy Spirit. Yeah.
Holy Spirit. Who was is this guy still at your gym? The guy who gave you that?
That's no one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's at the gym. Then it got me exploring a church. I wanted to find a church and
other people on the frequency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to just continue to dig into that because, like I said, at some point, my daughter's going to have questions. And if I am not there to answer those questions, who is? And I want to control that narrative. That's my job. That's my role and responsibility as a father. And I want to do that to the best of my ability. And part of that is me continuing to grow that relationship myself. So I ended up getting baptized again at the church that I'm a part of now. I was baptized as a child. So like infant baptism is a part of Catholicism. But I wanted to declare that relationship as an adult, and I ended up getting baptized again with my wife. And now we're part of a church. And one of our studies is at the gym that we do. It's a small group, and we do like a 45-minute CrossFit workout. And then we go into like a 45-minute study on a specific chapter in the Bible, where we just kind of hang out and talk. And we have people from all walks of life coming in, and you don't have to be a Christian. My dad actually comes, which is amazing. He's Catholic, and we dig into that thing together as a group.
It's interesting. I've been acutely aware since I've been very young. Like at 5 years old, I had this kindergarten teacher who I had a crush on, but I didn't know it was a crush at the time. I just knew I really liked her. And I really liked her. And I see my boys now having feelings towards girls and then processing those feelings because they don't know anything, but they obviously feel something physical, right? They like it's not sexual, but they feel. I just remember those feelings. They're not sexual, but you know, okay, that's a girl, and there's something stirring in you. But the other thing that they're also quite curious about is where they came from and what happens when they die. So these are probably two of their, and those are kind of things that kind of propel man through his life, running from those two things, right? Dealing with those sensations that maybe drive you to want to be with a girl. And then the other is this deep quest for the curiosity of where do we go when we die and where did we come from before we were born, you know, sort of thinking in time. And yet we kind of push all that shit away. We don't address those sensations. We end up trying to make money to get a girl, or we don't address those thoughts of where we go when we die. We run from them, you know?
Yeah. Well, who's going to teach them that? If you don't teach that to them, in another year or so, one of their friends is going to teach them that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still remember, like my teenage years, like one of my friends is like, "Hey man, like my dad's got these videos and he's like trying to show me porn."
Yeah.
And like, I had no idea what that was. And I was like, okay, you know. And
could you imagine being a kid now, dude? I heard the average age that a kid sees
porn. You can go on your phone and you can, in a matter of seconds, you can be in a really, really dark and scary place. And
that changes your perception of everything. I'm not even condemning porn. I'm just saying, like, why would you want that to be your first impression of what the union of a man and a woman is. It's nuts.
That'll mess you up.
Yeah.
Mess you up.
It'll mess you up.
Hey,
It'll
messed up millions, I bet.
Because it does, because you're gonna look at women in that way. You're not looking at it as love, and like there's opportunity when your kids are young to really speak to their hearts. Like I look at my daughter, she's like the innocence that she has. I just like, I want to preserve that as long as I can. And I want to teach her through my relationship with my wife, what I want her to have someday in a man, and how I treat her and the things that I do on a daily basis. You know, if I'm getting angry and upset, and I'm mistreating my wife or yelling and screaming and not patient and kind, then that's just expected out of a man. So, you know, one of my my good friends, he's always encouraged me. He's like, you got to date your children, and you got to take them out one at a time. And if you don't build a relationship with them early on where they feel comfortable to talk to you, it's not going to just magically happen during their teenage and high school years when things are really, really hard. And, you know, your teenage years are your most impressionable years. Like that's when you're making really, really hard decisions. I don't care how popular you are or how good you are at sports. Every one of those kids that comes into school in their teenage years is making difficult decisions every day. And if we don't take time to pour into our kids,
never heard it said like that. Wow.
Yeah, if we don't take time to pour into our kids, then other teenagers are going to pour into them. Older kids are going to pour into them, and what they're putting into them isn't good. You know, that's not going to like lead them down a road of like how to treat women or what kind of relationship they want to be in, or, you know, just what they want to pursue in this life. I don't know.
Hey, you know what's kind of funny is that there's this I hear this from all the parents. Why I'd be like, hey, why'd you get your kid a cell phone? Oh, for safety reasons. Oh, for safety reasons. Now you can contact your kid, but your kid and his friends can now look up porn. And let me tell you, the nicest, best, healthiest kids in the world are going to do that. They're just kids. They're just fucking kids.
I remember being a kid and wondering those things. What does that look like? And it's the same thing that you were saying. You're like, why is that making me feel that way? If nobody talks to you about those things, you don't know. And then the people, like I said, that are teaching you, oh, like hooking up with girls is cool. Okay, cool. I'm going to go hook up with as many girls as I can.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, like,
food, you could compare it to food, Scott. People, I used to go to, every time I went to the movies, I would always buy a pound of M&Ms. No one ever told me what the consequences of that would be. Peanut M&Ms, a pound to myself every time. No one's telling you the consequences of going out and hook. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
No one tells you the consequences of that. Why would they tell you the consequences of hooking up with as many girls as you can?
Why do you feel empty inside the next morning? Because it's not meant, like, that is not the way that we were intended to live. And, you know, it's taken me a long time to get to this point to learn all these things. And
I don't know, 35 seems pretty quick to me.
I don't know, man. But it's never too late to ask for forgiveness and start over, man, and just start building your heart back up. But, you know, they talk about it's like hardening your heart when you start making decisions like that, and you're doing things that you're not proud of, that are behind locked doors, and looking at things that you're not supposed to. It's difficult to pour into your relationship. It's difficult to pour into the people that you love and care about, because you're addicted to something. You're addicted to, and then it makes you feel like garbage afterwards. And that's because we weren't built to do that. I don't know. That's personally what I believe now.
I also think, though, that the greatest, whatever that metric is, the greatest raised child in the world still doesn't have the experience needed for happiness than maybe the person who had the worst upbringing and who had the worst habits, who actually took the effort to tear themselves apart. in that process that of tearing yourself apart and rebuilding yourself, I think is where the true gift is. I was actually asking my wife and I were talking about the other day, do you think our kids are wise? But the truth is I kind of set her up. It was a loaded question, because I don't think anyone is wise until they've gone through that one cycle. You kind of ran your whole life, you're 25 or whatever, and then you either keep going down that path or you break all, no matter what, how perfect everything might be, greatest Bible reader of all time, whatever, practicing the scripture. But there's something in, if you've never done deep self-reflection and kind of torn yourself up, I don't think you're even a complete human being.
You think you're going to always wonder what that life, it's kind of like when people say like, oh, that's what college is about. You go to college and enough.
I just think people have to hit rock bottom. I don't think
yeah.
If you hit rock bottom, then you're not, like, you have to build this character in your life, and we have to help our kids build it, knowing someday they're going to have to dismantle it to find what you call the Holy Spirit. No matter what. I think
we're all going to hit. I think we're all in that. We're all in this road of like riding waves, where you ride a wave and then boom, you crash. And if you don't have something to get back up on that board and start swimming and paddling out, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
And so you teach your child about God and the Bible so that they have the tools during these hard times.
Yeah. You give them the tools that they need, but like, you got to know we're all flawed human beings. We're all sinners. We're all going to mess up. Like every day I mess up. But, and I think that's one of the things that I learned over the last 3 to 5 years is like, a lot of it was like, I would let people, like church people, all right, dictate what my beliefs were on God. Oh, like if that person can let me down and they have that relationship with God, then like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, no, we are all flawed human beings. I don't care who you are. Mm-hmm. We're flawed human beings. It is what it is. But you just have to know that, like, you have to lean into something bigger than that. And that's what I believe the Bible is. Like, that's what I believe that relationship with God is, because we are all going to hit that point of rock bottom at some point in our life. And we're going to think every time we hit a low point, we're like, oh man, this is rock bottom. And I look back to like my knee injury and I'm like, oh, I hit rock bottom. Then I look back to losing a child. I'm like, oh, that was way worse.
Not even comparable.
Not even close. Not even close. Do you know what I mean? And our life is going to continue to move in that way. But it's like, if you're not rooted to something, then nothing flourishes after that.
Mm.
I do this story a lot. Let's say, Scott, I robbed your house and I took your favorite TV set and I stole your family albums. And let's say I did all this bad shit to you and you're like, this guy's a piece of shit. He needs to go to jail, blah, 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 blah. And then someday someone was hurting your daughter and I was there and I helped you protect your daughter. You'd be like, dude, let's go for a beer. Fuck that shit. I mean, it's all relative. I can't, there's, whenever I put all the people in my life that I don't like, I actually love them compared to how I would feel if someone did something bad to my kids. I would lend them $1,000, like right now. Like there's nothing I would like. They're not even my enemies when I hold up to that. How much I treasure my family.
Well, I mean, I think it's such a good perspective, because the things that you're talking about are materials, and like you can replace all of those things, but like you can't take back. Like if there's a moment I help your children, man, like I can't
like
pay,
Flynn,
I
steal
can't
what you
pay
want
for that.
Yeah.
Pay for that. You literally, you can't pay for that.
We've had family friends who I just kind of can't stand. And then, and since I've had kids, I just love them because of how they treat my kids. I can't have them over enough. It's fucking hilarious.
Even though they swipe $5 off your counter every time they're over.
What is catechism class? Children generally are required to take catechism classes, which are Catholic religious education classes, which generally start around the time the child is in the first grade and conclude around 8th grade, at which time the child is confirmed. Will you put your daughter in one of those?
So actually I went from being Catholic to being a Christian. So it's not considered like CCD, but there are classes from kindergarten all the way up to, I believe, 8th grade that you can put your child in during service on Sundays, where they're getting in it to experience a relationship with God and learning in a more appropriate fashion, I guess you could say.
Sorry, I'm gonna take a little short. Kelly, the way he's talking though, it seems being gay isn't allowed. However, I'm not sure who you're talking about, but I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I partied many a night with many thousands of gay people at the Erotic Exotic Ball, all the gay pride parades. I have absolutely no issues with anyone being gay. What I do have a problem with is that in being gay is a reference to which genitalia you like. It means that you want to be intimate with people with the same genitalia, and that flag has no place in front of my kid's school. That's why my kid doesn't go to school, because they put that flag up in front of my school, and my school shouldn't have a sex flag in front of the school or a genitalia flag. And people are like, no, that flag's about freedom and acceptance. And I know the American flag is the mindset and the idea of freedom and acceptance. So please don't get those two things conflated. I have no issues with anyone can pretty much do anything that they want with themselves. If you want to put a gay flag on your garage door, more power to you. I'll honk when I go by, and I know that's the place to party that really wants to emphasize what they do with their genitalia. I get it. But that is not the place. Just like I don't want the fucking NRA flag at my fucking school. Like I don't want that. Sorry, I don't want the BLM flag at my school. I don't want my kids being taught about color at my school, unless it's a biological term that Scott does better in Finland and Jeff Evans does better closer to the equator because of the biology of their skin color. Other than that, sorry, I digress. I don't like it when people conflate that stuff. Jeremy E. World, I'm digging everything Cole Sager is saying. Oh shit. Why was losing the child so hard for me? I don't think it was hard. Other than the fact that what I saw my wife go through both times. And the second time, she was sure she would never have kids again. I'm so glad we did. We had the twins, but why was it so hard on you?
I think it was just because I felt like there was nothing I could do. You know, I just felt so helpless in those circumstances, and there's nothing I can say or do or no. There's no, like, usually the things in life you can put effort into something. And, you know, something good can start to happen. You know, the only effort that I could put in was into our relationship and just being there and listening and encouraging her as much as I could. So that was really difficult. And I don't think men will ever truly understand what it's like. And I try not to pretend like I do.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And was she hesitant to try to have a child again because it was so traumatic? Because I know the second one was so physically traumatic on my wife that she was like, and her skin basically turned yellow for 6 months. She's like, fuck that. Get the condoms out. We're not doing that again.
Yeah. I think there was definitely some anxiety that, like, what if this happens again? And I remember going in for like ultrasounds, and just every step of the way through that second pregnancy, you're just kind of walking on eggshells, and that's difficult. But that was also right around the time that I had started reading the Bible, and again, like, was rooted to something that was good for my heart, and I had trust, and I believed that we were meant to have a baby, and we just kept trying, and eventually we got Kinsley. So
along this same line of family, when you open CrossFit Mentality, your mom and dad left the city they lived in and bought a home in the city you're in and helped you open. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. So my whole family
isn't that
relocated.
just crazy? Now, I know part of you wants to be like, oh my God, that's so great. But doesn't that put a crazy amount of pressure on you?
I was definitely a little nervous.
You're like, wait, what? Thank you. But wait, what? I mean, you can't fail then at that point. I mean,
yeah, I'll never forget our first day. We did our opening day. I had like 75 people come in. I had just finished the 2012 games, and I took fourth, and all these people came out to like help support the opening of the gym. And I went up to my mom after everything was done. I was like, how many people signed up? She's like, 1.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shoot.
Better than 0.
Yeah, it's better than 0. So I coached the hell out of that one guy, and 1 turned into 2, and 2 turned into 4, and it just kind of took off from there. But it was a slow growth, and honestly, I wouldn't change it for the world, because we had such a slow growth. We were really able to lay a strong foundation to who we wanted to be at CrossFit Mentality, and really speaking life into those individuals, and what the community and the culture was going to be. And I think now it's difficult, because I think if you open up a gym, you're likely going to get some people that are unhappy at the gyms that they're in, and your core members, when they come into the gym, are, you know, these people that are very unhappy in some of the other areas, and that doesn't necessarily build a strong foundation in some ways. So you got to really work your tail off to make sure that you're preserving what or who you want to be.
Are you still in the same location that you opened at in 2012?
Yeah.
And your parents still are part of the gym?
Yeah, they still pop in, and my dad actually stepped away to help my brothers Saxon and Spencer open up a gym. So he kind of goes back and forth between the two, and is retired now. So he's got a lot of free time. But the part of the move too was, I think, because my 2 twin brothers wanted to compete in CrossFit. They went to the 2012 games, and they were like, this is something I want to do. And they gave up their senior year of high school to move to Menor to be part of us opening a gym, and to train with me as much of the day as they could. They were seniors at the time, and they only had a modified schedule because of the core group of classes that they had left. So at 12:30, they'd come and train with me. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much time those 2 guys put in to get to get to the games where they are. They started at 12 years old, and this was their sport growing up. They played basketball, and, you know, were involved in other sports, but this is what they always wanted to do. So my parents brought them out here, and they knew that was the best place for them to be, and for all of us to be together. And it gave us the opportunity to really have a season of life where we got really close. And I didn't get that, you know, because I was in 5 years of college. So they were still at an age where we just didn't connect. And now they move out here as seniors, and they're becoming, you know, turning from boys to men. And it was just really great to be able to spend time with them and introduce them to the sport, and give them the opportunity to coach, and to interact with a lot of really, really amazing people. I still to this day believe we live in a little bit of a bubble, though, with you know, our members over at CrossFit Mentality, and we don't really have to go outside of that. And there's just something to be said about people that want to work hard, that just tend to be really good people.
Mm-hmm.
And you're attributing that to the people who attend CrossFit affiliates, that it's a certain kind of human.
I do. I believe the people that are sticking around are good people, and I believe there's a direct correlation between them being good people and their work ethic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's I was exploring that idea recently with Sousa quite a bit in the last few months, that what a great thing to be a part of, because every part of it, you know, you're doing the right thing. So you're going there and you're working out for your own health. You're meeting other people who are working out for their own health, which means that you're working out with people who care about life. And then on top of that, you're spending your dollars, you're voting with your dollars to keep something open that's so positive for the community. That's so crazy positive for the community.
Yeah. Well, we're in Romans, and one of the things it talks about think it was in Romans 12, it was talking about just like God-given gifts. And I believe that one of my gifts is, being a leader, and then also having knowledge and understanding of what it takes to be healthy and fit. And this is my way of serving our world, serving our community. And I think every person in this world has a gift to give. It just takes some time for us to chip away and figure out what that is. And then I think there's something really rewarding about figuring out how to serve others with those gifts. And that's why CrossFit mentality has always been a part of my career as an athlete. And I always say that I'm a gym owner first and a athlete second, because the gym is my career. That's something that I will do for the rest of my life. Being an athlete is very short term and something that it can come and go. And I knew at any point during my career that it could be taken from me. And that's a scary thing. And I don't know if as many athletes are thinking in that mindset of like, hey, what is your exit strategy of the sport? What are you going to do when you're all done? And if they're looking at and comparing themselves to Matt, like Matt went and won the games so many times, and now he has a lot of opportunities and doors that have opened. But I wouldn't say that there were a ton of doors open for a lot of the other athletes that were there for 2 years, there for 3 years, there for
And
4
he was
years.
smart. Not only were they opened, they've been open for a lot of people, but you have to know how to take advantage of it. I'm not blaming those people for not knowing how to take
and you
advantage
need
of
to know
it, but
when,
you have to.
yeah, when to take the opportunity. Like I look at someone like Jacob Hepner is a good example of someone who came into the sport, accomplished a lot, and then stepped out and is excelling in the tactical games and and investing into businesses. And I think it's important for our next generation to be thinking about what they plan to do next, like what comes after this, and to continue to find ways to chip away at that while you're being an athlete. I mean, I do think there is downtime to when you're an athlete. And I hear a lot of this, like, oh, there's no balance. Well, no, like there is balance if you want there to be balance. And there should be other things that are going on in your life because if you take that one thing, if you take CrossFit out of your life, who are you? And if you can't, talk about who you are and you just define yourself as a CrossFit athlete, and that gets taken from you, you're gonna think that's rock bottom. That was me as a football player. I'm like, I'm at rock bottom, and I started drinking and going out and doing things that I'm not proud of at all. And that's where it can leave you if you aren't pursuing something alongside of that.
You kind of had a little bit of an accent in those days too that you've lost.
You can stay in Ohio. You start to just speak
I was
guess.
watching one of your interviews when you were at Mount Union, and I'm like, it looks like Scott, but it doesn't sound like Scott. It looks like Scott. I'm like, who's this?
Have you ever seen the Pittsburgh dad on YouTube?
Maybe.
Oh, you have to check it out. That's the accent from the Pittsburgh dad is pretty funny. But
is it your classic Ohio accent?
Oh, I don't know if it's Ohio or Pittsburgh or what. Maybe it's a combination of both. But I've been out here since 2012, so we're.
Another thing about Jacob Hepner is I really appreciate his role in Olivia Kerstetter's life, at least looking from the outside, just from what I see on Instagram and just a little bit when I've had Jacob on the show. I find that as a very compelling trait of his
that
you
think
I'm
about it,
attracted to.
That's him serving. That's him fulfilling like something here. Like that's like, I believe that probably brings him more joy than anything. That's how I feel. But whenever I watch my brothers compete, like watching my brother Spencer qualify for his first CrossFit games this year and knowing how long it took him to get there, that was so special. And just to be part of that journey in some shape or form and knowing everything that he put into it, I mean, that is like joy. Like I just remember standing at the finish line in tears, like because I was so happy for him.
When Spencer and Scott would fight, who would your parents root for? Sorry.
Yeah.
When Saxon
I mean,
and Spencer would
and I
fight,
I would probably, it wouldn't be a fight of 9
when
years, you know.
when
Lay down
Spencer
the
and
law.
Saxon would fight, who would your parents root for?
Them
Because
to
I
stop.
struggled last night. My kids were in the jiu-jitsu room at our house, and they fought for an hour. And like, I want to root. Like, there's times I'm rooting for one guy, and I'm like, I'm getting a little heavy-handed on the
Imagine them
rooting for
being at
this
the
guy.
CrossFit. Imagine them being at the CrossFit Games.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like don't know
That's
who to
what my
root for. And
parents
then
said.
Avi's like, let me get in there and mess them up. I'm like, easy, buddy. You know?
I mean, think about this. So imagine watching two kids on the floor, and one is like getting like is gonna win the workout, and one is like struggling and something's going wrong, and like you want to celebrate, but at the same time you're like, no, oh, come on, buddy. That's a difficult thing. I don't think anyone's prepared for that, and I wish I could give you better advice. You might need to talk to mama.
I need to talk to your mom and dad. Yeah, because they do a lot. They compete a lot against each other, and I never know who to root for. And it's like, and I catch myself screaming at one of them to win, and I'm like, wait, that other dude's your kid. You know, you love that other one too. Like, he hears that shit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mess the other kid up. They both went to the games this year. Obviously, you had the incident with the rope, which we've talked about, and you know, everyone talked about. It was a big incident. Are you healed up from that incident?
Yeah, I'm back to doing just about everything. Trying to just keep chipping away, getting stronger, and getting back into running and bounding and all the things that come from that. But I'll get there.
You ran your first mile after your surgery, and you ran an 8:26 mile.
Yeah.
And how did that feel? Did your knee swell up after that?
No, it didn't swell up. It's just uncomfortable.
Is this familiar territory for you?
A lot of people don't know my ACL is still torn. I decided not to get that fixed, which is what allowed me to come back a little bit faster. And it was a medial and lateral meniscus that I had cleaned up, and I'm just rehabbing and trying to see if I can just work through that and keep my quads and hamstrings very strong, and we'll kind of see what happens. But there is a chance that I might have to get that fixed again at some point, but I was not in any rush to do that. I try to minimize the amount of times that I need to have surgery. It's just, I don't want anybody touching anything in there, because the more they're in there messing around, the more likely they are to mess it up.
And God forbid you get an infection in there. Have you ever had an infection in there after a surgery?
No, my dad did though. He was cleaning our swimming pool and got an infection in I think it was his ankle, and it was like ankle or shoulder, but
after a surgery,
he was in there like cleaning the pool and doing dad things, and he was not supposed to be, and ended up getting a really nasty infection.
Yeah, my wife was hit by a car. She had to have a knee surgery. She had a cadaver meniscus put in, and it went wrong. And 4 surgeries later, they're telling her like, "Hey, man, we don't know what this infection is, and we might have to amputate your leg." And I'm like, "Oh God."
Oh wow.
I have a one-legged wife. I didn't sign up for that shit.
Yeah. It's about you there.
Yeah, I had cadavers put in during my knee surgeries, and looking back, I wish I wouldn't have. But it's like you have 2 choices. Oh, we can take a piece of your hamstring or your patellar tendon and put it in, and then you're rehabbing 2 injuries, or we can give you the cadaver. And I think there's like a shelf life on those things, because that obviously did not do the trick.
They really screwed up my wife. While she was in surgery one time, when she came out, obviously the doctor wasn't there because he was off to the next one. But we called him the next day. He's like, okay, he was just supposed to go in there and take a look. And he's like, I cleaned up your meniscus. And then later on, when she went to have her meniscus replaced, and they never told her they were going to do that. And later on, when she went to have her meniscus replaced, there's a guy in San Francisco, Dr. Stone, who's actually developed an artificial meniscus. And he's like, hey, I can't do this surgery on you. And she's like, why? And she's like, because someone cleaned up your meniscus and I needed those pieces to attach the artificial one to. And it's just a complete shit show. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think you did the right thing by not getting the surgery.
Yeah. I mean, if I need it at a certain point, if I get hurt again, whatever, it is what it is. But until then, like right now, I'm back to doing almost everything. So I'm pretty happy with that. And the rehab from an ACL is a full year minimum. And there's still no saying that you'll get your full range of motion back and everything that you want to be able to do after that. So I was like, take as little of my meniscus as you can. Don't touch anything else. Like I gave specific instructions and I went through 4 different doctors before I found one that I believed could do the job and understood what I wanted to get back to being able to do and believed in what I wanted to do.
What did he look like superficially?
He looked like an athlete.
He did.
Yeah. And anytime I'm getting advice from someone, medical advice, they need to look like an athlete. They need to look like they take care of themselves. And I ask them if they exercise. And if they don't exercise, no, you're not my doctor. It is what it is.
You're a Volkswagen mechanic, not a fucking Lamborghini mechanic. Big difference. You put the wrong tires on my Lamborghini and I got in an accident.
And I want somebody to treat me like an athlete, not like the rest of the world, because the rest of the world is very unhealthy. They're slightly below well. Why would I want to be treated that way? So I have to find a doctor that's on the opposite side that takes care of himself. And if he takes care of himself, he's likely going to treat me how he would want to be treated.
Yep. Yeah. Most people like to hear from their doctor, hey, don't do anything, sit on the couch and sit there. He's like, oh, perfect. Now I have a great excuse. I can't do it. I was told by my doctor.
Can I get a refill on those Vicodins?
Yeah. The first doctor I went and saw told me that I wouldn't, like, he goes, I'll fix it. I'm going to stitch it. And you can't squat below parallel. And I looked at him and I said, well, how do you expect me to take a dump in the morning? I was like, that's a fair question. And he didn't know what to say. I said, you're sitting at parallel right now in that chair. And he just like, he was so like, and I was like, that's important for me. And I'm not going to stop squatting below parallel. And he's like, well, I know I had my sister-in-law or something that was a bonehead CrossFitter, and she went back in and got hurt. And I was like, well, we'll see you later. Like that's good.
My wife had her first surgery and they put one of those braces on her where you just turn how much you can bend it every 3 days. You move the thing. And after 8 weeks, she had lost so much range of motion. So the next surgery she had, they told her to do the same thing. And all I did, I said, hey, soon as the wound heals, you're taking this thing off. And so she took that thing off as soon as the wound fully healed. And every day I worked with her a little bit on a range of motion. And then we went into the doctor and I put it back on and set it to where it was supposed to be. And I'll never forget the doctor saying, I've never seen a surgery where someone didn't lose range of motion. I don't understand why you didn't lose range of motion.
Yeah, because it's cookie. I think one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is that it's cookie cutter. So yes. they're treating
no common sense, just lowest common denominator, just to the dumbest person ever is made.
So what is like, think of the oldest person to get that surgery. Mm-hmm. Okay, we got to make sure that it matches that person.
Oldest, dumbest, fattest. That's who it's made for.
But it's cookie cutter. And if it's cookie cutter, like, I don't want it. And I think that the longer you sit and the longer something is not moving, just like what you did, the more it starts to die. And that's us. If we lay on the couch too long, you don't take care of your body, it will stop working for you.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning for the last 3 mornings, my kids have woken up with the worst cough. Horrible. They're snoring all night. They just sound like shit. You know what I mean? They have like steroidal COVID. 15 minutes after they wake up or they do their schoolwork, they get dressed. I take them outside to the skate park. From the second they're outside to the second I bring them home at night, not one single cough, no wheezing, nothing. It's like, yeah, put a sweater on them and get them fucking moving. I remember Glassman said that at my first level 1. He said, no animal was made to heal. As animals, we were all made to heal on the move. No animal gets injured and stays still. And obviously there's exceptions to that. You broke your neck, you know, but yeah, we're made to heal on the move. Absolutely.
Every knee surgery I've had, I'd sit and like, I remember pumping my calf. I remember like squeezing my quad as soon as I could and just like trying to like curl my toes or whatever I could do to just like anything that didn't hurt. My rule of thumb is if it doesn't hurt and you're not in excruciating pain, move that thing. Because what if you're not in pain? Pain is what tells us like, hey, don't do that. And if you listen to that, you'll be all right. And I talk to people all the time in the gym about it. Hey, it's okay for a workout to be uncomfortable, but you shouldn't be in pain. If you're in pain, let's figure out how to change that movement slightly, whether it's the height of your squat or using dumbbells instead of a barbell, whatever it might be. We just got to get you out of pain, but you're going to keep moving. That's the goal.
In 2000, I watched an old interview from a year ago with you and Tommy Marquez here, actually in Santa Cruz, California, on the beach, and he was talking to you about in 2017 you had an open score in one of the events that you repeated in 2022, and you beat it. You had an 80, or sorry, in 2021, and you had an 80-second improvement, 82 seconds.
Yeah.
So how could you be 4th in the CrossFit Games in 2012, then age 5 years, and then 5 years later beat that score by 80 seconds? That's nuts.
It shows you how the field is improving and just
or getting worse. No, or maybe, well, no. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because it's time. It's not based on other people. Yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah.
How do you think you keep getting fitter?
I do CrossFit.
I mean, shouldn't you have crested over your kind of
functional movements performed at high intensity?
Do you think that
I stick to I really, really believe in CrossFit. And over the last 2 years, I've done probably like, there was a period of time where I was doing tons of like interval and breaking things up more and more. And then like, I got back into like kind of like CrossFit intervals, but like I've kept a lot of fitness, especially right now because of like really focusing on quality over quantity and CrossFit style workouts. And I think sometimes people need to go on CrossFit.com and do a little bit more on CrossFit.com than some of the other things that they might be doing. I think a lot of people could benefit from doing a main site workout once a week. And that's just me. I've always looked at the main site and used that as a reference to what is coming next. What are we going to come back and revisit? And if you're not looking at like some CrossFit journals and researching and doing those things, like you're missing out, because there is a lot of information, and that is core to who we are. That's how you got as good as you are. And it's like, don't forget to come back and refine the basics, and being exposed to different movements and modalities and ways of doing things. I mean, I thought this year's games was more CrossFit than it's ever been, period. It was really awesome to see like heavy weighted implements with long distance running, and then you saw like a high power output, and then you saw like the strict deficit handstand push-ups, and I just like long biking endurance with like super high skilled movements. And it was just really, really fun to watch the games this year, because I think it had a lot of athletes coming back and saying like, oh yeah, like back to the basics.
Would you have killed this workout, Scott?
The
crossover pegboard. No.
Crossovers are, I'm still trying to figure that thing. I can do single unders I'm good at. Single under crossover is not bad, but like I can't figure out the double unders, and I haven't been able to jump high enough and coordinated enough to like not have that impacting my knee. So I haven't really played around with that much.
Do you when you watch the games, have you thought about how you would have placed?
Yes and no. It's it's like watching a football game. Everybody's like, why'd that running back cut that way? Well, that running back had a split second to decide, not even. And I know that being a running back. So I didn't want to be somebody that was sitting in stairs like, oh, this would have been my jam. Because it's just that's
This is peculiar. This is peculiar. You did the capital workout.
I did. I set that as a goal after leaving the games. I wanted to. I
Very
knew
interesting.
that pig was really heavy, and I needed to get stronger, and I wanted to be able to run 3.5 miles without stopping, and I think it was just when I watched that event at the games, I was like, this is just a really, really cool workout, and I just put it on my list of things that I wanted to accomplish before November ended.
Did you do stairs?
I didn't have any stairs, so I just walked a little bit further, but it was still a very challenging workout.
Let me show you another interesting bit of
bring it up. I have it here.
Tidbit where he picks the guy up, his chiropractor. Yeah, this is a weird thing to see you do. This is a bit obsessive. This is
yeah, I was just practicing for next year. You never know.
Well, why don't you tell us, since we don't know? We've done enough foreplay. We're 60 minutes. We're 70 minutes in. Have you thought about if Rich goes Masters to go over there and hand it to him, get the L on Rich?
I have no idea what's going to happen next. I'm just, like I said, it was the same thing last year. I was just like, I want to get as fit as I can. I'll sign up for the Open and we'll see what happens.
Are you just telling yourself that to keep the pressure off, or do you know?
A little bit, yeah. I truly don't know for sure, but we'll see. I don't know what life's gonna be like here in another month, and I'm just excited to meet my son Camden.
Yeah. Well, we've given that plenty of time. Let's get back to the games.
We'll see. I don't know.
What is your what are some of the people close to you when you have conversations about competing again? What do like your wife and your mom and dad and your do you have a coach?
No.
Okay. And maybe your brothers Spencer and Saxon. What's the conventional? What's the chatter with them like? If we were listening to one of your phone calls.
My wife is very supportive. If I want to come back and go for it, she would be completely on board and would help me do it. My parents believe that I could do this for the rest of my life and compete forever. My dad tells you still got it. You still got it. He pumps me up. Saxon and Spencer, I like to talk smack to sometimes and just tell them I'm coming for you. Uh-oh, you better get it together. I'll send them like a little video or try this one out.
Would you do Masters?
Yeah, I would do Masters. I also think it would be cool to show up to semifinals if I qualified and see how I stack up there. And maybe that's my games, or I don't know. It's just really comes down to like how my body's feeling around that season of life and just where that focus needs to be. And I don't know. Am I still excited and energized by it? I mean, I train hard. I will say that. Like, I still really enjoy training hard. This month I've been getting on the Echo bike every training day just because I'm tired of that thing hurting my feelings. So I'm putting that thing in every day just to man up and be tough. I believe that I'm not training as hard as I did in 2020. I can tell you that. Like, I don't spend as much time actually, I wouldn't say I'm not training hard. I'm not training with as much volume as I have in 2020. I train just as hard, it's just a little bit less. And I've been spending a lot of time rehab. I spend almost like an hour every day doing some form of rehab and agility, and I'm working hard to just like get athletic again, like cutting left and right and jumping on boxes and, you know, getting back to some like old school kind of football training, to be honest.
After, have you ever had any thoughts between that semifinal where the rope incident occurred and now to where you're done? Have you ever been like I'm done? I'm in the done category. Okay, I'm retired.
Yeah, right after it happened.
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. I mean, when they gave me the diagnosis and they were like, yeah, your ACL's torn and, you know, you have a tear in your medial and lateral meniscus and you're going to need to get surgery on it. And I'm talking to different doctors. They're like, you're not going to squat. And I'm like, oh man, like all I want to do is I just want to be able to squat snatch and exercise and train the way that I want to train, even if I'm not competing. Like that's really, really important to me. So I think there has been times and moments where I felt like I had to make the decision is like, hey, do you want to go and try to compete or do you want to be able to squat snatch for another 10, 15, you know, years?
Oh, meaning if you continue to push this hard, you may have some other things taken away term from you.
Let's just say I come down off of a box or I come down a ramp or you know, it could be anything. You just come down on it wrong and that ACL completely goes and you got to go get surgery and there's no saying you're going to get everything back that you did. You know, the facts are that right now I can control my environment and the things that I'm doing are very functional movements and it's not a lot of lateral unexpected movement, you know, like a football game would be. I know where my squat depth is. I know where my extension is. And, you know, it's very, very functional and you can do a lot there. But like when you start tying in some of the like I watched those guys at the Rogue Invitational coming down from the legless rope climbs onto the mat, jumping off the mat, going forward, throwing themselves under a bar, jumping over a bar, carrying. And, you know, you start to see some of those like elements where you're like, oh man, if I just step off that mat wrong.
How about when they come down the hill, that transition scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. So like little things like that definitely come into my mind where I'm like, and I don't know, but at the same time, I'm like, you can't let fear dictate.
Maybe you're almost even attracted to that.
A little bit. I don't want to look back on my life either and wonder. I mean, that was part of the reason why I signed up for semifinals last year. I was like, if you weren't fit enough to go, then you wouldn't have qualified. And I was in good standing going in. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, I'm doing a lot less. I'm still performing really well. Let's go see what happens.
Are you swimming?
Yeah. Yeah, I swim once a week.
Ah, interesting. And are you biking?
I bike every training day.
But I mean on a bike. I mean a bicycle, two-wheel bike.
No, I'm not right now.
I'm just trying to take data points. I figure, okay, if he's swimming, then that means he's still.
That's a plus for the games. Yeah.
Yes. He still has his eye on the prize a little bit.
I am still swimming.
Yeah, that's a very. I like that data.
Doing last year's workouts from the games. That's a plus.
I check in. Let's put it that way. I definitely check in with some workouts every now and again, and like to see if I can still do some work.
You dabbled over at Mayhem a bit, right? There was a point in your life where you started doing Mayhem programming.
Yeah.
And what years were those? You remember?
2019.
And was that the first time you had done any programming different than your own? Were you?
Yeah. Yeah. I handed it off. Rich wrote it and he told me what to do and I did it.
And how was that?
I got really fit. I believe I got really fit. It is what it is. I mean, Rich is a smart guy. There's no secret there. And he's been super successful in the sport. And he's someone that I do trust to hand it over to. There are not a ton of people because in my career, there haven't been a ton of people that have beat me consistently. And if you beat me consistently, then I want to know what you're doing, and I'd be doing it too.
Are you guys friends?
Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk occasionally. I wouldn't say like we're checking in weekly or anything like that, but we chat and check in on one another, and we definitely became better friends after 2019.
And you were on the team with him.
Yeah, that was the year that they were at the ranch with 5 people, and we qualified for the games as a team, but we didn't get to go. And then they went back. Then they went back to the old way of no more super teams, and then this year they're back to super teams again.
Oh my! Have you talked to anyone about going on a team? Is that something you've explored at all?
No, I think a lot of people are probably like, oh man, that guy's like ticking time. They're like, that guy can go tick, tick, boom any moment. I don't think we want to say, I might get a call like 1 week before the open with somebody saying like, hey, do you want to come down and do the open workouts at my gym?
They're desperate at that point.
Yeah.
I am Hop. Whoever decided there was no way those ropes shouldn't have been cut should have been ashamed. It's a miracle more folks weren't hurt. It literally would have taken them 10 minutes to cut them. Best of luck to you next year. How did that end up? I know we had talked about it before, and you said, hey, I've been advised to not, talk about that. So that's fine if you don't want to talk about it, obviously. But is there anything you can say about it? How that ended up?
Yeah, my manager, Ralph, just was like, hey, like, now's not the time to be diving into all this. My brothers were getting ready to compete the next week, and I needed some time to like not be emotional. And I think that's good. I think if I would have came on and talked, and the things that I would have said would have probably not been as who I am. I would have been speaking out of emotion, and I don't want to do that. Right.
Smart. God, that's so smart.
Yeah,
that's so
I was
smart.
angry.
But it doesn't.
I will tell you that. I was really angry. I was disappointed. But it took some time, and then you redirect and you get back on course. It definitely softened the blow watching my brother Spencer qualify the following week.
Yeah,
which was nice. It was just a bummer because it would have been really cool to show up and compete with both those guys.
So, he's swimming. He still romanticizes being at the games with his brothers. His dad thinks he still has it. His wife is very supportive. He's doing events from last year's games. And he doesn't want to ask what if when he's older.
Like how you put that last one in there like that.
Yeah, you like that?
The way you framed it.
I feel like that was your encouragement right there.
Whatever I can do. Oh, Matt, let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away. Scott, thanks for coming on. I know this was supposed to be 22 minutes, and it's an hour and 22 minutes.
That's okay. I'll send you my bill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing the parts of your deep parts of your soul and the superficial parts of your injury and the whole gambit, everything in between. It's always great seeing you, dude.
You got it. Good seeing you
All
guys.
right.
I'll talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
And congratulations on the baby.
Thanks.
Yeah. That's a lucky kid to have you as a dad and the grandparents. Very lucky kid.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Ciao, brother.
Bye.
Damn. I always like to kick him off. He left before I could kick him off. I always like to push that kick. It's not like it actually says kick guest.
Right. Yeah.
Like kick guest.
And kicked.
I didn't even think of that about him going on to a team and then maybe someone not wanting to dance with him because of the potential for something. The thing is that the guy has no quit in him. I mean, he at the games that year, he was limping around and he still sent it.
Yeah. I also think too, I think he's being completely honest when he says like, I don't know, he's just going to play it by ear, because I just think he trains hard. He's one of those guys that just trains hard regardless. Like, even if they're like, hey, the CrossFit games are done, we no longer do that. Like, I don't think much would change in his workout routine at all. He'd just be like, oh, okay.
Well, he's not going to sleep here for the next 3 months with the baby coming.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think, and I'm pretty sure he knows that from some of the posts he's made. He knows he's about to enter and the no sleep zone's a really weird spot to go.
I've seen it happen many times at the gym with some of the members, but I've not experienced it myself.
The no sleep zone. He was telling a story that basically when he had his first baby, and it was in like they sell these little things where the baby sleeps next to your bed, like in a bed. And he was saying that he would wake up like, I don't know how many times a night wondering if he rolled over his baby. And that shit's real. Like when your first baby, especially, like you think that they're so fragile before you find out they're bomb proof. Everything you do, you think you might be hurting your kid. Excuse me. We don't have a topic. We have Brian coming on tomorrow, but we don't have a topic.
Not yet. Well, we got plenty of things we could source from. So I'll chat with him. We'll chat with him after this and get something squared away.
Okay. Yeah, I want to call him and have it so I can start.
Getting research on it.
Yeah, figuring out. And then I'm looking at my calendar here.
Yep.
Oh, and we have and then we have Luke Parker on Wednesday.
Yep.
And Luke's been on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a live call-in show on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday we have Jason Tomlinson. That's an affiliate owner.
Yeah, we're going back to back with him this week.
Oh, 2 days in a row. 2 affiliate shows in a row.
2 in a row.
So much for me not wanting to do CrossFit stuff.
We switch it up. Sunday's still open right now, so we have some room there. And then a good week of almost no CrossFit stuff the following week.
Yeah. On Monday, we have Xavier DeRosa. Am I saying his name right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know who that is, that's a great Instagram account to follow. Then we have Hocus the Rapper on Tuesday, another great Instagram account to follow. Then on Wednesday, we have Paul Alkaby. I think he was here in the States helping organize the evacuation of the troops from Afghanistan during that kind of debacle. That should be, I'm very curious. I don't know shit about that except what the pundits were saying. Then on Thursday, we have a trainer coming on named Tanner Shunk. He's not a CrossFit trainer, but he's just a trainer. And he says some pretty straightforward shit on Instagram that I found compelling. And then on Friday, we have coming back to us Bellator fighter Dalton Rosto, who's been on the show twice before, undefeated, 185 pounds, beautiful man, mentally, physically, emotionally. Did I say physically? Double down on physically. Okay, cool. So we have a bunch of cool stuff coming up.
Yeah, and we got a couple people on deck too that will be laid down in the calendar within the next day or so as well.
It would be cool to get Scott Britz from Battle Cancer on. Send me Elon. Okay, we'll try to get Elon on.
He's a bit busy right now, but we'll get him soon.
John, I always want to call him Jan because it's the way it's spelled. John, send me that guy's Instagram in my DMs and I'll poke around. I'm going to try something I've never tried before. We're not covering, I guess there's this event going on for masters athletes. That's like, I think 35 and over.
The Legends one? Isn't that at Mayhem?
Yeah, it's in Cookeville. Yeah. And so on December 6th,
there you go.
7th, 8th, and 9th, I'm going to try to have Jason Grubb on. Oh, we have Matt Boudreau back on?
Mm-hmm. That's the thing that you're doing with the students.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're not... Are we going live with that?
We need to talk about it, yeah.
Oh, I got to make sure I don't swear in that episode.
Probably, yes.
Okay, that's
because you're gonna be with the kids, right?
I'm gonna have to stick something on my computer. No swearing.
I'll just be with the soundboard with the beep and get you like a couple seconds lag.
I think that's it. Tanner Shuck. Yeah. Sorry, Tanner Shuck. Yeah. Thank you, Chase. Did I say Shunk? I have it. I just type whatever I want. I just put an N there. But we're gonna have Jason Grubb on come on for like 15 minutes every day, and I'll be in Newport, and so I'm gonna try. I usually do a lot of live call-in shows from there because it's easier for me, and hopefully I can have him on for like 15 minutes every day, and he can talk to us about the competition. I don't know if
That would have been a cool one to go to, just because I want to hang out with Rich and the gang.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ramirez is going to be at that competition, but if he is, that will be the first time that Jason Grubb, the champ, and Ramirez meet, the former champ, and that's kind of exciting.
Cool.
I soon. In December soon. I mean, I always say that, but I believe it. Yeah, Greg's coming on in December also.
This time we really mean it though.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. I need that. I have full confidence Sevan cannot curse. Me too. Oh, you went to film school with them? Okay. Where at? What school? Yeah, from the 1st to the 15th of December, I'll be with California Hormones down there. I'm so excited. I always have a blast down there with that crew. It's going to be awesome. I think even Hiller will be down there for a few days. Susan will be down there for a few days.
Is he coming down?
Kids. Yeah. Well, I don't know for sure. I saw, I sent him an invite. So I think from the 9th to the 11th.
I might have to visit you on a weekday too. Because when do you come back? That following week, or are you out there for a while?
I'm going to stay out there for 2 weeks. Oh, then I'm going to come back on the 15th.
You are coming back on the 15th. Okay.
Hey, you know what's crazy? So my wife is talking about doing 3 days in Lake Tahoe this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tripping because the accommodation she's showing me has no place to do a podcast. So the podcast would be down for 3 days.
What?
I know.
Can you do that?
I don't know.
Will you be okay?
Ghislaine. I would love to have Ghislaine Maxwell on.
Oh goodness.
I was hi Jessica. I was tripping also this morning. I was thinking about all the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and I was thinking that I should have said, I hope it's all not true. How cool would it be if none of it was true? Like, I was just thinking, what if it's just all bullshit? What if it's just shit from the, like, people just hating? What if it's some other conspiracy? Let's say Jeffrey Epstein knew something else. Like, I hope that, I was just thinking, I even though I think it probably is true, all that shit, like, I hope it really was like, what if Bill Clinton was just there trying to talk him out of being a pedophile? Like what if Jesus had been at Epstein Island? Would we believe him that, like, hey, he was just over there trying to help people, save souls? Like, wasn't there one good person over there who's like, hey, like, we shouldn't be doing this?
I'm sure there was probably lots of good people that came in contact and was like, something's up with this guy, and didn't. But I don't know. I feel like if you were on that plane and you flew to that island,
I hear you, Victor. But and I'm not saying I believe this even one bit. I'm not saying I believe this even one bit, but we have thousands of instances all around us where people can be paid to say stuff or where people lie. So I haven't looked into it to see how many victims there are. I started watching the series on Netflix or something like that, and I saw the first episode and I couldn't push further. It was so fucking disgusting. So don't get me wrong, but I was just thinking, I don't wish for these things to be true. I don't want these things to be true. Except I do wish her name was Ghislaine. God, that would be awesome. I do wish that.
The real crazy person is to look into her dad.
But what if Bill Clinton was over there just like, hey, dude, this is wrong. I know because I was with Monica Lewinsky and it was inappropriate. Maybe he was just trying to talk her out of it. Ask yourself about the Clinton Foundation in Haiti. I know. More disgusting fucking robbery. You're talking about the whole cell phone thing they did over there? And on to lighter news. Operation Overwatch. Need more operators to go in and just lay hate on them. Oh, that's exactly what I was trying to avoid.
Oh my goodness.
Ghislaine. Today is my I wanted to tell you something about my fasting. So I've been fasting now for over 2 years. I think in April or May will be 3 years where I don't eat every Sunday. So I stopped eating Saturday night. I started eating again Monday morning. So it's usually between 30 and 40 hours. And the first 6 months I did that, and I do drink black coffee. The first 6 months I did that every morning when I would drop a deuce after the fast, it would be a toxic deuce. It was so weird. It would smell like almost like burning plastic. Have you ever smelled one of those? And it almost would come. It's like no other poop you've ever seen. It's kind of like would be like almost like it's a baby in an embryo, or like I shit out the placenta. Yeah. It would be like in like I want to say like almost like in a gelatinous sack. It was the weirdest poop. And they would be small. They would be, I don't know.
Were you changing anything you ate prior to the fast, or was it just your normal stuff?
No, it was just, and now for the last year and a half, it's not like that. There's no, I never have a toxic poop ever anymore. Like I could probably feed my shit to the homeless. I mean, it's like, it's so clean. Yeah. Like an oily poop. Yes. And yes, Johnny, exactly. And it would be, and it would smell like, it didn't even smell like poop, but it was horrible smell.
Why do you think that is? Do you have any speculation?
Well, yeah, I think I'm just clean. I think after 6 months of that, like my shit's just like, what I'm guessing is that maybe I'm just totally making this up, that in those 36 hours for the first 6 months, it was some sort of autophagy I was going through, which is basically the body starts consuming itself, and it starts with like bad shit that's in you, like skin tags or bad cells or cancer cells, and that I've done it so many times that most of that shit's gone. At least that's what I like to think.
Interesting.
And that I'm a paragon of health and fitness and beauty. My dog has a raw diet. Poop always rock hard, never smells. Well, yeah. Soon as I stopped feeding my dog kibble and switched him to years ago to dehydrated just meat, the poops are tiny and they're rock hard. Yeah, I haven't eaten a shitload of vegetables, and my poop is not nearly as good as it was when I was just eating meat. Not really. Not really. I don't normally. John's asking, do you do intermittent fasting during the week, Sevan, or just Sunday fast? I just do pretty much Sunday fast. Yeah. And I don't eat on any schedule. I'm horrible. Like I just walk by the kitchen and just eat stuff. Banana, handful of nuts, or just whatever.
Do you think you've adapted to the Sunday thing? Like, do you think if you switched it, there'd be any bad or good?
My wife wanted to switch to Wednesday, and I tried it once, and then I ended up fasting twice in 1 week. I don't know. I like Sunday. I went back to Sunday. She's doing Wednesdays now. It's so easy for me. Like I told my wife yesterday, this is so fucking hard, but like I'm not even hungry. I just get tired. Like around 4 o'clock, because I get up at 6. Around 4 p.m. I'm wiped. But then usually by 6 p.m. I have a second win. But there's a 2-hour window in there where I'm just exhausted. But I never get hungry on those days. Not never, but I don't know, never. I don't ever, like yesterday I was like, I'm so tired, but I'm not hungry. No, I don't take vitamins. Oh, I did take, yesterday I did take some sort of, right before I went to bed, I took some sort of, I just worked out and I took some sort of like electrolyte powder thing. I don't normally do that at all, but I just did it, put it in some water, and it was fucking awesome. Maybe it was even that LMNT stuff that I got in the Gaines box. I prefer intermittent fasting. I find eating in the morning makes me tired later in the day. Yeah, I have all these pills, and I just take not always. I'm not 3 times a week. I take a handful of those pills, that I just have them all mixed up in one giant glass jar. Like nothing. Do you still take liver pills? So that. Yes, so fresh and so clean. You want to talk about your poop at all, Sousa?
Not particularly. I don't think people would find it as interesting. You have a real way to captivate the audience, regardless of the subject, and I can't follow that up.
Thank you. Sevan, how do you break your fast? You don't want to know. Anything goes. There's no, like right now, if I walk into the kitchen and there are eggs on the stove or oatmeal on the stove, I'll just sit there and eat it and talk to my wife. She'll be like, how was the show? I'll be like, great, I fucking killed it, man. I'm a boss. And then I'll just be like stuffing oatmeal into my face. And then I'll put oh, you know what I did, Sousa? I dropped one of my AirPods in the ocean yesterday and watched it go off.
Well, at least you know where one of yours is. I opened up my case and there was only one in there. I had no recollection of ever just using one. It was just gone.
One of us. Which one do you have? The right or the left?
I have the right one.
I have the left one.
Oh, snap. Together, we make a set of
Is it the newest AirPods? Is it the newest ones?
No. Mine are like the first generation older ones.
Peasant.
Yeah.
It really hurt. It really stung. I saw it roll away, and it was like I just saw $300 just roll away. I was like,
just float off.
that
G.
shit
Louise,
never happens to me. That's like the first time it's ever happened in my life. Go ahead. What?
No, I was gonna say, G. Louise said, Sousa, can't you find it on your iPhone? It says that they're together, but it would be interesting if you checked it on yours and you could just like see it way out in the Pacific Ocean somewhere.
Oh.
Like you click it, it's still just sending a signal.
What's crazy is I dropped it and I put my foot on it on the beach as the water was coming up, and then I lifted my foot up to get it, and it just rolled away as the tide was going back out to the water. I was like, wait, what? And then it was gone.
That's such a bummer. Such a bummer.
Sevy is inside a sea turtle now. I know. Probably. Oh, shit. Hiller just dropped it. No shit. Oh, Nelly. My mom gave me a little talk last night not to fight with people, not to make sure I'm not being mean to people. I like, oh,
That's
Nelly.
good. She's good.
I
Yeah,
know.
I see it here too.
Oh, Nelly.
It's trending pretty fast.
Oh, Nelly. Who's that guy on there?
I don't know.
1,300 views in an hour?
Yeah, that's going to be a big one for him. And it's 30 minutes long.
I want to just hear the beginning of it.
Look at that guy's mic setup.
I don't know that I'm going to do it myself. I like my hypertrophy.
How do I get this thing to go? Oh, okay, here we go.
I'm going to get a little more into CrossFit. I'm going to check it out. I don't know that I'm going to do it myself. I like my hypertrophy and my lack of injuries that I've experienced for the last 7 or 8 years, but
Oh, Hiller, Mr. Andrew. Okay, hold on. Let's see just a little bit more. Let's watch a little bit more. A little.
Yo, August 16th, 2022, put out a video titled "See It To Me, Natty or Not." It is one of my highest, if not.
I didn't like that video. I just want you to know. I don't like the natty or not stuff. I don't like it.
The most highly interacted with videos that I've ever put out, and that should tell you in itself.
Then Sevan, why do you keep watching it? Because I'm a scumbag.
That's why I'm putting out this one, which will be titled Danny Spiegel, Natty or Not. I'm going to go a little bit further on this one rather than just giving you what my opinion is about Danny Spiegel.
His opinion.
But the first thing that I want to address, and the entire reason that I'm doing this in the first place, and this is just the way things roll along, is that there has been quite a bit of interaction on the internet in relation to Danny Spiegel as of late, to which YouTube, my algorithm, kicked something to the top which said Danny Spiegel, Natty or Not. And it.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, I'm going to watch this when I'm on the assault bike. I'm not wasting this with you guys. Fuck that. I'm going to get some fitness out of this. Holy shit.
Wow.
Hiller's crazy. All right. I'm probably going to call. I might not call you first. I might call Andrew first.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Love you guys. See you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. With Brian Friend will be here tomorrow. That's always fun. That's easy. Brian's I love doing shows with Brian. You should do a live reaction. Maybe I'll let him. I should have him get like his first 20,000 views, 50,000. I don't know what's gonna happen to that video. Bye, Jeffrey. See ya. I'll be waiting. All right. Love you guys. Everyone take care. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks again for all your support to the great Scott Panchik. That guy is really busy and he can be very difficult to get on. And he always responds very quickly to us, whether it's a yes or a no. And I love having him on. And that was just a random shot in the dark. And I'm glad we had him on. What a great guy. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.